Okay there. Hello there, traders, and welcome to the TOGS Trading Podcast. It's TOGS number 10 already, ladies and gentlemen. We're slicing our way through 2024. All right, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, whether you've been here from the start, whether you're just joining for the first time, you're all very welcome. Be sure to subscribe, all right, share the word about the TOGS Trading Podcast and stuff. And so I hope you've all had a good week. Hope you enjoyed your St. Paddy's Day weekend and the end of the Six Nations and stuff. And for me, United battering Liverpool. So all of these things help put me in a good mood for the start of the week. But anyway, TOGS Trading Podcast, I'm here to give you a little bit of insight into what trading's really like rather than some of the nonsense you get told, which is going to come back to us today in terms of our topic. Before that, then let's see how Ian is. Looking good. Billy Ray, how are you doing?
I'm not feeling good. I have the flu at the moment. So I was off yesterday. I was off yesterday, and I'm off today. And I was off a good bit of last week because I was down in Mayo, and I went to Mayo for St. Patrick's Day with another family come down with us. So it was just a little bit of a holiday. And so what I didn't do a huge amount of trading. I did one trade yesterday and I got stopped actually, and I got stopped because I made an error in the trade rather than the trade didn't work out. It actually went 34 points or something, but I put the stop too tight and I got caught with it, which was just a mistake from my side. Um, and apart from that, there's really not been a lot else. I'm drank a load of Limsip this morning, and that was about the most exciting thing that I've done really in the last besides the
There you go. Well, to be fair, there hasn't been that much to do trading wise for me either because this is just a big, major, chunky news week, and so every day from like kind of yesterday through to the rest of the week and stuff, there's some big, major news coming out affecting things, and so of course we've got FOMC tonight and stuff now. And I appreciate as as a bit of a scalper, maybe that doesn't sort of bother you that much and stuff. But if you're looking like for swing trades, I'm not one who talks about sort of entering trades in front of big news. I think that's just, I think you're asking for trouble.
yeah.
So it's more an exercise of sitting on your hands and basically seeing how markets react to the kind of news. So it's the kind of week it's been, isn't it? So
Yeah,
there we go.
and that's because definitely getting as particularly as a scalper or day trader, getting into in and around news or in before news because you can't have an edge.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what that news is going to be. You don't have any you can't really use technical analysis or anything with it, and you don't know how the market's going to react, and so you can't have an edge. So I always find it. I saw what I do, and I know there's news coming out. I go and drink tea until the news has come out, and then that is all cleared off. And I find that a smarter way to operate.
Yeah, good advice.
Mm, mm,
Cup of tea. Yeah.
indeed.
Well, shall we crack into our session for today then, shall we? So
Yeah.
uh, last week we spoke about your gripes, okay? Ian's trading gripes, all right? Okay. And as usual, it could have gone on for quite a while because actually once you
Mm,
start thinking about these, aren't you? It all starts coming out, doesn't it? All starts flooding out and what have you. Um, and so this week is about my trading gripes and stuff. And interestingly, before we kicked into this, Ian and I just have a quick little chat. And interestingly, I was saying that is that I've got a list of trading gripes here, but most of them are not really to do with trading. All right, and what I mean by that is that there's one or two, but not. Everybody has examples where they might have a gripe about. Your trade just gets to a few points in front of your target, and then it turns around,
mm,
or your trade, just tips you out your stop loss, and then turns around and goes all the way to your target. Okay, but actually, I don't see that as a gripe. That's just trading. That's just part of the gig, and you just have to become accustomed to realizing that will happen to everybody. Doesn't matter whether you've been trading for 2 weeks or 2 decades. Those kind of experiences, they happen to everybody, don't they? It's part of the gig of trading. So it's not something I would consider a gripe to myself. It's just part of the business. You just go on with it and stuff.
mm,
You just
yeah.
manage your risk accordingly, and get on with it. So yeah. So yeah, should we talk about a few of my gripes then here, okay, and see if they basically resonate with anybody, if they hit home. So um let's talk with one of my first ones, okay, and this is my gripe, but I am also the first to admit that it is a pointless gripe and that I am fighting a losing battle. So I'm not even choosing to fight the battle, and this is it's a pedantic one, and it is me about the use of understanding the difference between strategy and tactics. Okay, so this kind of taps into my kind of previous life as a battle manager, right? And so when I come to trading, everybody talks about their trading strategy. I don't know. Let's just say they trade a pin bar. Okay, they trade a pin bar off the 20-period moving average. That's absolutely fine as a way to engage with markets, but that is not a strategy, right? That is merely a tactic. Okay, that
Mm.
is merely a tactic. Okay, but everybody in the industry calls it a strategy. Okay, and as I said, I appreciate that. I'm fighting a losing battle on that. Okay, it's not one I'm gonna. It's not a ditch I'm gonna die in. All right, over it. But I recognise that it is a case of your strategy. Your strategy is your overall vision. Your strategy is your long-term goal. Okay, your strategy should be able to encapsulate how you engage in the market, and it should be very, very simple. Maybe one, two sentences. Okay, that is easy to understand and it easy to explain to everybody. All right. So for me, as a swing trader in FX markets, my strategy is that within FX markets, I am looking to buy strength and sell weakness as a way of joining dominant trends, and I would like to execute that where possible on a pullback using a price action trigger. There you go. That is my FX strategy. All right, and that should be very simple to understand, very simple to explain. The number of tactics I might use, all right, to the specific action steps, right, that I might follow to basically to fulfill that strategy. Well, they could be lots of different tactics. They could be 3-bar reversals. They could be doobies. They could be false breakouts. Okay, they could be bounces off moving averages. Okay, I can have lots of different tactics, but that is all they are. A specific set up, all right, okay, a specific set of actions that you are to take. It is not strategy. So that is one of my
Mm.
gripes. I'm the
Yeah,
first to admit I'm like King Canute here against the sea. I appreciate it, it's a losing battle, so I don't fight it, but it does gripe me a bit.
mm. Because I'd say I'm a range trader, so I spend, which is kind of basically the same thing in its own way. So I tend to buy at the bottom of ranges and sell at the top of ranges, and then try and take the trade from one side or the other. And if I don't do it in one lump, I'll try and do it in little bits of scalping on the way up because that's how I would identify that there is at least an intermediate trend of some sort. It's going from one place that's 40 points to another place that's 40 points away. So that would be my strategy, I suppose. Um, a lot of the traders that I talk to don't have they get caught up with that sort of little tactic thing where they basically their setups are far too small. They're looking at this almost through a letterbox at charts. They're looking at this one tiny little happening on it, and that's a big problem because what will end up happening is that if you look at these small little things, so if you're 3-bar reversals or you're just doing something like that, and you don't look at the whole context that it's in, which is more akin to strategy, I suppose. Yeah, you're just not going to make it because you can't. And I think that an awful lot of time when I'm looking at traders on YouTube or something like that, it doesn't come across that they have done all of the sort of context work before they've switched on the computer at all or started their podcast, and it all looks like they're making it up on the way, and they're just doing this one little thing. And they could be, but it also could be because they understand the trend is and they understand where there's a magnet for price, which they've not told you, and they're trading that. So it just makes it look very simple and it makes it look less complex than it actually is. So I think a lot of newer traders get caught out with that when they're looking at it. They have this understanding that they can do it. And plus then it's conceptually a lot easier to look at that and say, that this is that because it's very attractive to only have to do that one thing. And I've seen loads of people sell courses that are based on whatever crossovers or, whatever, basically, which can't work because they don't deal with context as well over time.
Yeah. Proof.
Mm.
I think yeah, you hit the right word there. CPT, context pattern trigger. All right. There are lots of
Yeah.
people pattern, but actually, they don't understand the context, and it's a nice way to describe it, like trying to look at the markets through a letterbox. All right, very very
Mm.
limited, narrow. You have to understand the context. You have to understand the pattern. But then you also have to understand the trigger. I have, the variations of tactics. I have different triggers for different patterns based upon, whether I'm going to be aggressive, whether I'm being conservative, etc. But yeah, that pattern and yeah, that kind of sort of leads on to a couple of my other gripes when you talked about the kind of YouTube and stuff and what have you.
Mm.
So I'm going to break it into two because there's there's educators element, which maybe we'll do in a minute. But the first one is like, which is a modern thing about having influencers, all right, okay, and whatever you heard them called finfluencers or whatever, or furus or whatever, however you want to label it. But I've basically kind of got two elements of it. One is you go on socials and you look at some of the influencers, and you'll have to excuse my language because there's no other way I can put it. There's an awful lot of them on there that are talking absolute shite. All right,
Mm.
just about A, how to trade, but B, trading life. They are selling hope. All right, they are selling hope. They're not selling trading, or they're trying to sell trading, but actually they're selling hope. All right, and the kids who have no idea about what they're talking about, and it becomes quite apparent quite quickly if you listen to some of the nonsense they come out with. You realize very very quickly that these guys are just idiots. But it's that old thing, isn't it? In the
Mm.
land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And if you know a little bit more than the others, then that basically annoys me. And then it comes on to that second element of they don't really know what they're talking about, and actually they're not really traders. They're not really interested in trader. That they're wannabe media stars. That's actually what they want. They want they need that external validation, all right, from the attention of the likes and the DMs and messages, etc. They're not actually really trading. If you watch some fella on socials and he's talking more about the characteristics of his microphone more so than what the market's doing. He's not a trader. He's a wannabe media star and stuff. And so the thing that annoys me about it is that actually, what they're doing is they're setting up new people to fail. Right? They're giving people false expectations about how they can be operating, what's available to them, and that's the gripe really. They're all adults; they can do what they like, but it just grips my mince. All right, when I see these lads, but I'm sure you've seen plenty of them. Plenty of them yourself, Ian.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think what they do, I think I said it before, basically, a lot of the time I get the impression what they're trying to do is that they're trying to get the viewer to feel that they've learned something
Yeah,
without actually putting any effort in. So that the person who's watching them gets, the person who's watching them then gets a little endorphin rush basically from going, oh, I understand that now. Yay. I think a lot of them as well are doing it as a second income or trying to do it as a second income because their trading isn't working that well. And so, back in my time when I was starting off, loads of people sold courses or something like that that weren't able to trade, or they tried to take
yeah,
on cash from other people, or they had some other strategy. There's an awful lot of copy traders out there doing martingale systems. Everybody was trying to create this second income because they couldn't trade that well. And I think, excuse me, and I think now at the moment, what a lot of these Insta guys or TikTok guys are doing is trying to create that second income and build up their status and all that kind of stuff without so that they can keep their own trading
yeah,
dream alive. And the last thing I was going to say about this, that people don't seem to understand. One of the things I find with newer traders is they say, I only want to earn a small amount of money, as if that's going to protect them from the market in some way. I only want this sort of like second income or something like that, this second small income. And that's not how trading works. Because to make $100 or $1,000 is the same effort. And you have to be the same, right? Or to make even $10,000 and $10, you have to be just as right. So and it's a profession. It's an actual profession. It's an actual thing that people go and study and work at for years to be professional. I don't think that a lot of these Instagram guys or TikTok guys really put that across, that this is a profession that you have to work at and you have to learn something and you have to, if you want to make the money out of it. And I think they create a trail of tears, but I think that trail of tears is
I like
also
that.
on the people that go into trading without really considering what they're doing. They're just going, oh, I want to go in and I want to make a little bit of extra income. And I come in the evening time and I'll do a bit of swing trading. And then in the afternoon, I'll do a bit of day trading. That's another thing that really bugs me, by the way. Like when I've had people come in, if I was mentoring them, and that's what they say, I want to do some swing trading, but then I want to day trade for the rest of the time. And they're not making any money in either system. And you only have to beat the market in one place to make your income. And they spread themselves too thin. And it's just because they just don't want to be bored. But
Yeah,
trading is a very boring job. Most of us
yeah,
just wait around.
yeah. No, those are all good points and stuff. I suppose the thing I would say is that um, I can understand, people do create a second income or look to create a second
Mm,
income, and I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I mean, I do it myself. I have other businesses, and also I do a bit of coaching and education work myself. Put my hands up about that, but I think it depends on why they're coming for that. If
mm,
it is because the truth is most private traders are undercapitalized. And so
mm,
I can understand doing it as a way to take the pressure off your shoulders to have to make money from your trading. Okay, that's understandable. All right, that's understandable. I can work that, and I know lots of people do it. I've done it myself and stuff. That's I can work with that. But it's the some of them who are they're doing it because actually they're not very good at trading. All right, they're actually just
mm,
not very good. But they've got jazz hands and a confident personality, and they think that is actually that's actually going to appeal to people. And the truth is, it does appeal to a lot of people because actually most people would sooner be entertained than educated because good trading is actually quite boring. Good trading is actually quite boring. All right, we've said it many a time here and stuff. And you're right. We live in a world where everybody wants a bit of a dopamine hit and stuff, and sitting on your hands for 4 hours to basically stopping yourself from taking stupid trades in front of big news. That is actually good trading, but people don't see it as that. People see that as dull, as uninteresting. They need the money or they need the action stuff, and then it just draws themselves into all sorts of problems and trouble with that and stuff. So so that's why we'd be getting my particular goat. And I suppose that kind of leads
right.
into
Can I just say one thing about that? There
yeah,
was one
cool.
guy, I was on a course one time. I was invited on this course. And I was explaining a setup which I did at the time, which doesn't work anymore anyway, but it was for earnings. And it's basically going, you're buying, so you would buy the share, excuse me, the share would come out with earnings. It would gap up. You would look to see that there was blowout earnings or earnings surprise or one of those statements in it.
Yeah.
Then you were using a fib to enter the trade. So basically you were using the low of the day before the gap up. And then you're waiting 3, 5, or 7 days, and you're either buying at the bottom if it went in and it tested the fib, and if it wicked through, it was even better. And then you were holding for a while. And one of the guys turned around to me in the course and he said, "But sure, how can you lose doing that?" Which I still remember to this day because that must be 10 years ago. And I still remember to this day because that guy was there for his excitement. He wasn't there for, because the setup is one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. So that setup was earnings gap, uptrend, um, blowout earnings as a catalyst, and then you were just managing a trade. And that wasn't fun for him because he didn't feel, because a lot of people, I think new traders feel that they need to be almost by the seat of their pants to feel alive or to feel that they're actually they get that as an ego boost, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's if you guessed properly in the market that it's going up or it's going down, and then you get the ego boost for it, besides doing the actual trading thing, which is building a setup and trading the setup.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
hardly, yeah,
No, that's very true. You're right. They want a bit of excitement. They want a bit of entertainment.
yeah.
They think they're doing something and stuff, and invariably they start interfering in their trade, and
Mm,
that rarely, unless you know what you're doing, that really ends well.
yeah.
Certainly when I started, I used to have when I would feel like that, when I would be getting like kind of be in trades and I'd be getting itchy fingers and wanting to do.
Mm,
I had another computer in the living room in the other room, and this was many years ago, and I would have like Command and Conquer Generals on there, and I would literally go and play that for half an hour, and I would just take my need to interfere and my need to do something, play a computer game for half an hour, get it out of the system, and then come back and just basically pop my head in. Oh yeah, the trade's on. Let it go and stuff. And that was
mm,
yeah, that was one of my ways of managing that in myself and stuff and what have you. Just
mm,
find another way to channel it rather than actually ticking around in your trades and stuff. So
mm,
that kind of leads into a little bit of one of my other gripes is that maybe this is well, there's actually this kind of it comes into two elements, into three elements of it, but another one is when I see people intraday trading and yet they are still posting away on social media about all sorts of stuff. Maybe it's about the trade, maybe it's about other nonsense, whilst they're kind of intraday trading, whilst they're actually sat there sort of taking trades, managing trades. Maybe it's a reflection, maybe it's it's a different world of living and stuff. But it's a case of I tell people, when I'm trading, and especially intraday trading, when I'm trading. Okay, when I'm
mm,
coaching, I'm doing something else. When I'm doing stuff for businesses and doing other stuff and what have you. But actually, I'm always kind of curious as these people who are, they're saying they're intraday trading stuff, but they're talking about intraday, but they're hammering away on kind of social medias, and it's not the stuff they're posting. I'm just like, why aren't you focused? When you're intraday trading, you should be focused on the task in front of you, and okay, not looking at things that do distract you or do sort of kind of take your focus away from what you're doing. So I'm always a bit kind of surprised when I see when I see people there on their socials and stuff, texting away or or what have you, whilst they're intraday trading. Right? When you put a swing trade on, it's gone fine. But if you're trading like 1 minute charts, 5 minute charts and stuff, scalping away and also trying to
mm,
just jabber away, I'm a bit like, it kind of focus is a key thing, especially intraday trade, because things can change in it that fast.
mm,
It's a case of you have to respect the market. You have to respect the market. You have to respect capital. And if you're not, well, you shouldn't be shocked when something happens against you and stuff, or you make fat finger mistakes or whatever, which leads me into another one of my gripes and stuff and whatever. But yeah, I'm always a bit
yeah.
worried about it.
I do that actually. I have to say I do post because I'm a scalper, but I do occasionally. I don't do it as much now as I used to, but that's out of laziness rather than out of anything else. So I used to be quite good about posting. I used to try and post at least one or two live trades per day as I was doing them, and I thought that the reason behind that was for to show people that I was doing them live. So, and I would try and show a trade while that trade could still be stopped out. So if I went long someplace else and I said that I the whatever the stop there that I would post, I'm going to go long here, so that people will be able to see that I was actually doing what I was actually saying I was doing, basically. And I felt that that was an important thing for so people would have some sort of belief in what I was saying.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was one reason for it. The other reason why I found it possible to do it is that because you're using so you actually have quite a lot of time sometimes, like not a lot of time in comparison to a swing trade, but you can actually have quite a lot of time in intraday trading because you're only trading from specific places. Um, I'm trading at the top of the range, I'm trading at the bottom of the range, I'm trading in the middle of the range. So those three things, that's where you're trading from. So you have time before price gets there. You're very structured about how you like. I put a trend line in. It has to have a low stochastic, oversold stochastic, and and then it has to break a trend line. So if I use a 2 minute or a 5 minute or a 699 or whatever, that it's all the same, but it's basically that's basically the system. So I know what the system is so well that I tend to have the ability to take a little bit of time off because I'm not making it up when I'm going on. I know what's going to happen next or whatever. Like, but there is true. I have seen people on I have seen people on internet who I don't understand how they post with that frequency or at that speed and still trade because it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I've seen other things. One of the other things which I saw was people would put out these trade alerts and
Hmm.
oh, I so bought here and I sold there. And it'll be some penny stock, but there would have been like 30 shares available at those prices. And there's no way that they and all their clients got
Yeah,
filled, got
yeah,
filled at the very bottom where they were saying, and they might have been actually completely right and said it like 2 hours in advance and said, we're going to buy here, but you're never going to get a fill in that because they're so thin.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I've seen people
yeah.
do things like that. And there was one fella I followed for a little while just out of sheer interest because he did FX and I don't do FX. And he'd have a bad day and he'd delete the video.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. You see lots
So
of
yeah,
you see
so
lots
I,
of that.
yeah, so I sent him a couple of emails, just very friendly emails, going like, "Oh, I was learning loads from your YouTube video. Where's the YouTube video? God, I don't know. How could this happen? How could I lose it?" And never got a reply. But anyway,
I was going to say, did he reply and stuff? There's a
no,
shocker.
no,
There's a shocker.
no, yeah.
Yeah,
And the other thing which I have as well is I have a load of friends who I trade with, and they never post a trade, so you don't know
yeah.
what they're. So there's a real thing with that because they could be losing money hand over fist some days and you wouldn't know,
Yeah, that's a fair point and stuff.
you
That's a
know.
fair point.
So
It kind of links it to a couple of experiences I had. One, I used to post all the bits of my trades in, and then what I found out was that people were just trying to reverse engineer my strategy or my tactic. All right, from it, okay, and people come up and blatantly say, "Oh yeah, so I read your blog posts and stuff, and we all got together in a pub and reverse engineered your trades and stuff." I'm having a little. Fair enough, fair enough, and they saw it as it's like I don't know, it's like they were being a smart ass. They were, but they kind of gleefully couldn't wait to come up and tell me,
mm,
well, no, you trade a reversed engineered, not knowing that maybe I only cover 70% of the stuff I do in that trade, but yeah, there'll be lots of people who would do that, or just try and reverse engineer your trade setups, which that's going to happen, fine, but don't be gleefully trying to come up and tell me that they're really proud of themselves for reverse engineering trades rather than doing the work themselves. And then another guy, I remember it vividly. This would be a good few years back now. Another guy vividly called me up. He managed to get my phone number and called me and said. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I don't think you're a very good trader and stuff." And I was like, Right. Well, thanks. Is this, you've gone to all the detail of finding out my phone number to call up and tell me I'm not very good. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Cheers. Why do you think I'm not very good? He says, well, he says, you've got losing trades on your blog and stuff. You posted up, trades where I've lost. And I said, and he says, I see all these other traders, they're all win after win after win after win and stuff, and you've got losing trades, so you're clearly not a very good trader. And I was like, do you think that those lads are just basically cherry picking the best trade setups and actually not posting any of their losers at all to make themselves look great and stuff? And he said, well, no, no, no. I'm sure they're just winning, 100% wins and stuff. And you've only got like about 60% win rate, so you can't be very good. And I was like, right, fine. And then he asked me to coach him his trading, and he asked me to coach him for free. And I was, well, you can go forth and multiply. You've called me up to tell me I'm a rubbish trader, and then asked me to coach you for free. Uh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How did you think this conversation was going to go, sunshine and stuff and what have you? But yeah, delusions. Just what's that saying? The denial isn't just a river in Egypt and stuff. Some of the people are just Egypts and stuff and what have you.
Mm.
So get me off that. But
That's
um,
yeah. It's something that I find that really weird. Like because I get a lot of people that come up from whatever some other continent going train me now, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're going to train somebody, like for me, if I'm going to train somebody, I have to know them and I have to, have some sort of history with them because like if you just get the wrong person, you're just going to waste your time
Yeah.
basically with them. And the other thing I was just going to say with that, with the people reverse engineering setups, there's no holy grail, and most setups are kind of
Yeah.
the same. Most people are
Yeah.
doing more or less the same setups because you're supposed to trade in decision areas. You're either trading the decision that's happened after decision area has been touched, or else you're trading the decision that decision area. And how we discover them are pretty much all the same.
Yeah.
They're called different things. Like some people use trend lines or support and resistance lines, some people use Fibonacci, but the in a roundabout terms kind of point at the same thing. And then I think as well, when you are, if you do have a certain amount of success as a trader, it does bring up anger. And it's the same with other people who are not doing so well in their career or whatever, because it's which is basically their problem, I think. Um, because I remember being out at meetups and stuff some night and like getting verbally attacked about things by people I'd never met before within the first
Yeah. Yeah.
3 minutes of the conversation,
Yeah.
where I wasn't ready for it because that's what always happens. So you go and somebody'd ask you a question, you go, sure, it's like that. And then they suddenly will, well, you don't know, do you? You're this, you're that, you're whatever. And you're like, please. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just
We've both experienced a lot of that. I think, just kind of people
yeah,
bringing their grumpiness and their anger and they're just projecting it onto
yeah,
you and stuff. You're trying to, have a space where people can just come and have a,
mm,
beer and a chat about their trading and stuff. And invariably you become the lightning rod, for which basically brings out all of their inner angst and anger and stuff.
yeah.
And you're like, right, fair enough, mate. Anyway, I'm going to go over here and chat to these normal people, weirdo and stuff.
And they've no
So,
idea that, yeah, they've no idea that there might be some things that you just don't want to talk about. Like some guy asked me
yeah,
about my tax,
yeah,
and I had a lot
yeah,
of tax problems and I didn't want to talk about my tax. I'm in a pub, I have 6 pints in. I don't want to talk about my tax account. We just retired. You know,
yeah. That's true. And that kind of leads on because we've had this experience ourselves. It's just kind of like, yeah, you go to a meetup and it's kind of late at the night and stuff and whatever, and you've had a couple of pints and and you just actually want to go home
yeah.
and there's some lad wanting to basically draw you into an
Oh
in-depth
yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
about their trade on Aussie dollar and they wanted to get the charts up and stuff and they're literally
Tons of it.
dragging you into every bit of detail. I'm like, listen, mate, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm going home. Do you know what I mean? You could have had a chat with me, 4 hours earlier.
Yeah.
I'm only still here because I'm here chatting with Ian, and now I want to go home and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah. You
anyway,
can see the hand reach into the pocket and the phone come out and
yeah,
just look at their chart and you're like, oh, that's so nice. It's a
stuff. But
15-minute hour.
it's yeah,
Anyway.
that's the nature of it and stuff. But
Mm,
which kind of leads into a couple of things. Namely, one of my other gripes is certain broker platforms. Okay, I'm not going to mention which particular brokers, which particular platforms. I'm sure most people who've worked here, will have had this experience. Is that so some of the platforms you get to operate on, in terms of their analysis, they're okay, they're good. Some of them are exceptionally excellent, but quite often what you find on certainly on the retail side is their execution element of the platform is very poor. So for example, the big MT4, it's charting pattern. We use it myself. It's fine and stuff, but the actual inbuilt
mm,
execution element is annoying. Okay, and a lot of them on the retail side are quite annoying. And the thing that gripes me is that I think it's done on purpose in order that basically uneducated, um, inexperienced retail traders will make mistakes. Okay, they'll make fat finger mistakes. Okay, they
mm,
you know they'll buy instead of sell. They'll be trying to trade 10 contracts instead of one contract, etc. And those kind of fat finger mistakes, they tend to suit the broker more so than they do the
mm,
individual and stuff. And I find that a bit frustrating and stuff. And so I do tell people these days, there are, yes, you're going to have to pay for them, but there are actually quite a couple of okay plugins that you can plug into these platforms these days that have much better user experience, okay, in terms of, being able to get the trade on, but also position size and stuff accordingly as well. So yeah, that's one of my gripes, is that the existing execution element of the platform, it can be really frustrating and stuff and what have you. As I said, it gripes me because there's lots of people who it's their first experience of trading and they don't know, and they make mistakes and stuff, and actually, they're being driven towards making mistakes more so than just a genuine rather than a genuine experience and stuff and what have you. So yeah, that's one of my gripe and stuff. And the thing is, I suspect most people listen to us, have had that experience, whatever platform they've been trading through and stuff. They will have had an experience or two, or of it and stuff. And for the most part, there's certainly there is now, but there used to be not massive amounts you could do about it, apart from like changing brokers and stuff and what have you. But the kind of some of the one broker I did know, and where I did some work with, they basically brought out a plugin for their own version of MT4, which basically made putting the trades on much easier, much swifter, much more, and I was impressed. It was like, you've actually done something to actually help your clients more so than lots of, let's say, some of the unscrupulous brokers, okay, the non-regulated ones. They're looking for ways to trip traders up, okay, and I find that annoying, shall we say. So yeah, that's one of the bits.
No, I feel like, I can second that, because I hate a lot of the times, especially when I'm using spread betters, and the pricing on them can be terrible. I find that really, because scalping, again, if you're losing, you could lose up to 6 ticks in reality. In a trade at 6 ticks in a scalp, it can be quite a lot. If you're only scalping for 3 points, which is 12, you've lost half your profit, like, basically. So I find the pricing, and I find the interface is never made to be
Yeah,
easy. The speed, you have to navigate to different pages to do different things. It's just
yeah,
horrible. Sometimes when you use things like TradeStation, which are a joy, because it's just as one, the matrix, and you click here and you
yeah,
click there and it's done.
yeah,
If you can get slippage, of course, but you're basically, it's done. Whatever,
yeah.
whenever you get into it. So yeah,
It is. It's yeah. I think everybody has that experience and stuff.
yeah.
And so what else did I put here on my list? So yeah, I've covered that. It's kind of there's two elements of I think probably the big one is the big gripe is, I said, I don't really necessarily have gripes about trading per se,
Mhm.
but one of my big gripes is missing trades, due to life happening. Okay, and it's a gripe, but it is what it is. It's the part of it. So I don't sit in front of my screens all day, every day. Nowadays, I have other commitments and responsibilities and stuff. But even if I've been out all day, at the end of the day, I will come in and I will spend half an hour just going through the charts of that day. What actually happened? What was the price action? Where did it go? Did it set up any trades that would have hit my tactics and stuff? And that can be a bit frustrating, when you just see that and you're like, oh, look at that, that was a beauty and stuff, and so that can be a gripe because I'm missing trades out because of life. But equally, that in itself is a trade. I am trading opportunity to do other things. Whether that be I'm away coaching or other businesses, or I'm actually out just a day for myself doing stuff to keep myself in a good space and what have you. But yeah, sometimes missing out on trades because of life, that can be a bit of a gripe and such. But it's not the one that it's not the one that keeps me, it's not the one that has me kind of crying in a corner, shall we say, and stuff. It's part of the decisions that I have made. But yeah, looking back, and I suppose maybe the takeaway point is that for people, because if you're trading around a job and what have you, and you might not be able to trade during the day, there is a lot to be gained from spending a little time every evening, just go through the price action from that day, just look at how did price play out, okay, what were the setups, what was it telling you, was there something you can learn? Because there is always something you can learn, there's always something you can take out of the situation, even if you weren't there, that can actually you can make a note of, that might just help you yeah, the next time you're back in front of the charts for a bit of trigger time. So yeah, so I suspect that might be something that because you've got similar challenges in terms of you have other commitments and stuff, don't you? That
Yeah, but
that's
mine's
just
all family nearly. Mine's all family nearly. But the way I was looking at it as well is you're not a machine, so you can't be there all the time, and that is really frustrating because even I was looking at the charts this morning, and then I've seen these lovely trades that happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, and even today now I'm not going to trade because I'm sick and I'm not feeling that well. So it would be ridiculous for me to do it, but I will still go in tomorrow or maybe later today and look at all the setups and
yeah,
see if the setups would have worked and so on. So that and I find that that's important because then you know that you're still maintaining your edge, and you still
yeah,
know that you're and out of pure curiosity just to see
yeah.
what they are like. But it's very true. You can't be there for every single trade
No, no, you
because I
can't.
mean I could trade from 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll say, till 9 o'clock at night, to hit both the US and the European. The London Open. For sure. What kind of life is that as well? And also, you don't really need that many successful
No,
trades. You just need the right position size, and you need a reasonable amount of, you know, if you bought, for example, if you bought Bitcoin at the right place with the right amount, that won't on you for the rest of your life.
yeah.
So, it's you don't need that much. If you went out and bought the right stock in the right place at the right time at the right volume, you don't need a huge amount of them. You just need to be right, and you need to be,
Well,
collecting.
our friend Pierce bought Bitcoin at $200, didn't he, and stuff? Which was a great buy. But the thing is, he sold
Right.
it all off in 2000,
Yeah, yeah,
and thought he'd done, move woulda, coulda, shoulda, and stuff. But
yeah,
no, I know what you mean and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, there's stocks that I used to own back 15 years ago. Like when I look at them now,
I know, I
and
know.
they're up like 2,000% or something, or 3,000%. And I mean, if I knew what was going to happen with the same stocks, you'd be retired by now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Basically,
Would
but yeah, but that would be the. But then, what would you do with your life? What would you do with all that money and all that time?
have.
It'll bring its own problems, I think.
Spending my days on a podcast with Ian. That's where we're at. Funny enough, here we are.
Yeah, I think I'd be spending my time on a yacht someplace or something, someplace off.
Uh,
I think would be quite
uh, and
interesting.
yeah, I suppose I think my kind of last real gripe is it a gripe really? It kind of leads off a little bit in terms of missing trade, but it's also about like multitasking. Namely that and this is probably an experience, a wisdom, and age thing. Is knowing that I can do one thing well, right, at a time.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm trading, I trade. If I'm presenting, I'm presenting. If I'm coaching, I'm coaching. To focus on doing that one thing well is better than trying to do all things to all people at the same
Mm,
time. And and it rarely ends well, that and stuff. And so
mm,
that's a gripe for me, and I've had to live with it and learn it and shape my days and stuff to make sure I'm doing that. But I suppose maybe the learning point that traders could take away from it is, and they'll have heard me say it many times, is when if you're trading around a job, when you go to work, when you trade, you have the technology that allows you to basically to follow your trading whilst you're at your day job and stuff. But all that ultimately happens is you end up doing neither of those jobs terribly well,
mm,
and if you're my employee, and I'm expecting you to be doing, X, Y, and Z, and all I can see you is looking over at your iPad with your charts on and stuff. You're not going to be employee number one, in terms of my in my list and stuff. So if you're trading around your day job, just focus on doing that job well. All right, put your trades on in the morning.
mm,
Just go away, leave them. All right, and then focus on doing your job. Especially, other versions of that is when you're traveling or when you're on holiday. All right, when you're on holiday, go on holiday.
mm,
People think because they've got the tech, they can go on holiday and trade through the holidays and stuff. And yes, you can, but just because you can doesn't actually mean you should. Doesn't actually mean you actually do need downtime. You do need long weekends away, time away, to actually just to basically get a bit of downtime and stuff, stop yourself from burning out, which happens easier than people think, especially if they're intraday trading. People would have a burnout faster than they expect. So yeah, multitasking. I'd love to be able to do everything at the same time, but the reality is I can't, and so I have to focus on doing that one thing that's in front of me at that time and doing it to the best I possibly can.
I find I impulse trade if I try and do two things at the same time because you're half watching your chart and you're half doing whatever else you're doing, and then suddenly you see price in the area that you are interested in, and then you end up impulse buying it. And sometimes that works out, but more than often it doesn't. And that's my big experience of that one thing is that I end up impulse trading. You do need time away from the charts, especially when you do go on holidays. I mean, I still will look them up. I still look them up on the phone just to see where they're going out of interest. But no, I wouldn't trade if I'm not. I think the older I get, the longer I've been at it, the less I will trade unless everything is perfect. Everything is perfect with my life. Everything's perfect with my what else? Because you don't need a huge amount of trades to go well, and
Yep.
you don't need a huge amount of whatever for them. So you want to get the best. You want to get the best and safest money, not all of the money in the market. But yeah, it is a
Totally.
fantasy that people would go on holidays and then they would work on their holidays and then pay for their holidays. And
Yeah.
it's the same. It's the same thing from those people who think that they go to swing trade and day trade at the same time and they haven't made a penny doing each either. So, you
The
know,
I might have mentioned it before. I was very fortunate. I used to get to go to the Seychelles quite a lot and stuff, and
right.
so I've done the trading from the beach in the Seychelles. And let me tell you something, it's overrated. All right, it's overrated. You've got the sun, the sand gets everywhere. The basically you can't see your chart properly and stuff because the sun's blaring away there. Okay, it
Mm,
just. It's overrated, all right. It's overrated as an experience. You do it once, and you think, and then you think, oh, look at me, aren't I cool? And actually, you're not trading well. Go away and take a break and actually refresh yourself so that when you come back, you're in a much better place to attack markets from a relaxed
mm,
recharge space rather than just sort of trying to be some chump who looks like a influencer on social media. But the circle is now complete and stuff.
yeah. But you see
Yeah.
lots of
So
people doing that. Like they go and they do their trading with two ladies sitting beside them beside a beach someplace in Costa Rica or whatever like that. And that's not how trading
you're
works.
clearly following very different trading
Right.
people than me, Ian.
Yeah, well, there's some fellas. There's one in particular. I always remember. The sort of muscly tattoo, 35-year-old guy with the. And I was sitting there, and somebody was asking me or saying that, oh, he must be very successful. And then I was thinking, no, he doesn't have to be successful because he's in Costa Rica, so he could get two of those like promo models for not a huge amount of money, who are attractive ladies that would come in their bikinis, and then you could
Have
get.
you priced this all up, Ian?
Sorry.
Have you priced this all up? Is
Well,
this is
and then
this
I
where
was sitting, I was sitting, and he
these
was going.
podcasts from?
You go into a five-star hotel and you order a bottle of wine and sit beside the swimming pool, and that's it. So you've done the whole lot for 130 euros. So, it's not a. But that's what
Haters.
it's the tricks I think that a lot of those influencers would use is that they would be showing things that don't belong to them as part of their. It's like that person who kneels in front of a Lamborghini to look cool or something when it's not their Lamborghini. You
Yeah.
know, so they're
They're selling lifestyle, aren't they? They're kind of
yeah,
they're placing in the earth, but you wouldn't trust them to be able to deliver pizza. Really,
no,
it's just
no,
that's the nature of it and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, we can get on about that for a long
yeah,
time and stuff. So yeah, so I think that kind of draws us to close. That
hmm
went very quick, and not unsurprisingly, because you talk about
yeah,
gripes and stuff and what have you, and maybe that'll resonate with people. Maybe some people say, yeah, I've experienced that, or
right, right,
maybe it's part of their new part of their future experience and stuff and what have you. But I think next week we get back to a little bit more kind of productive elements, shall we say? So I'm just looking here at the list. I think so. Of course, next week is it's the end of quarter, and
all right,
so it's a bit of the kind of sessions about a bit of an inventory check in terms of right. And I think this is a good thing to do at the end of each quarter, right? What have you learned?
mm,
What have been the highs? What have been the lows? Okay, how well have you done against the kind of maybe the goals that you've set yourself,
Mm.
and what do you need to learn to take forward into the next quarter and stuff. So,
Right.
it's something I kind of recommend to people doing. And
Mm.
so we can talk about that and talk about that from a personal experience, and also about what people can do and take away and stuff from that.
Mm.
So we'll be able to do that.
And in the meantime, I'm going back to bed.
I don't blame you.
I'll
I
do
don't
it.
blame you.
I'll make myself a
I
cup of tea
don't.
and just go up to bed and then fall asleep for the rest of the day because I'm not feeling that well.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that,
And,
pal. And stuff.
just a flu. I have a 7-year-old, so he just is, he's a
Yeah,
walking
the
disease carrying whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. But see, this is here we go. I'm gonna get shot down in flames here by people subscribing to the normally my kind of as soon as I get a flu is like a bit of lemon
mm,
sip, a glass of whiskey, and a really really hot curry, a
yeah,
really hot curry. Get that into me, and I find get to myself an early night, and actually most of the time that just basically blasts it out and stuff, and
mm,
I'm in it and I recover quickly. But the problem is from when I was living in Ireland, I have to say Ireland doesn't do kind of a hot Indian food in the same way you'd be used to it in the
okay, yeah,
UK.
yeah, okay, mm,
It's more like the curry you get in the chipper, and stuff, and that's fine. That's fine. But on a day when got flu, you need a proper, you even maybe
mm,
up to a little bit of a vindaloo or something, or your madras or something really, something that's got a bit of kick in there. So it's got all that
yeah,
spice in
yeah.
there. Get that into your system, and then let it
And I know what you
flush
mean.
it
It tends
out.
to be a little bit more Europeanized because I lived in Berlin for a while, and then when you get a spicy curry in a Indian in Berlin, it was almost unedible. We were in the competition. We both ordered Vindaloo, and I was just like,
Yeah.
trying to get through this. Oh my God. You can get
I
spicy curries over there, but they're not that spicy.
Well, yeah, I remember I went on a date in Dublin many years ago and stuff when I was living there, and there was an Indian in Malahide. Was it Malahide we went to? I think it might have been.
Mm.
And I should have known better, but they kind of offered me the duck vindaloo, and I was like, that's a bit rare. You rarely see
Mm.
duck Vindaloo. I
Mm.
thought, go on, I'll give that a try. Let's see what that's like. And your man brought it out and stuff, and it was like a bowl, and it was like a mound of rice with a bit of with a duck wing on top, and then his Vindaloo sauce, which was just like a hot Heinz tomato soup around it, and there you go, sir. There is the
Sounds
duck Vindaloo,
fantastic. Right.
and
Sounds beautiful.
what is this? I'm like, this is not like any Vindaloo I've ever seen or had anywhere in the world and stuff and what have you. So yeah, that wasn't. I don't think I ever went back there again and stuff. But yeah,
Mm.
but
Mm.
yeah, get have a hot curry of some sort down your mate. Get it into you.
Yeah,
That'll sort you.
I'm sure I have a bottle of whiskey someplace in the house.
Yeah, nice. Make
I
a
was
couple of
going,
hot
yeah,
toddies.
yeah, I was going
Get
to have
yourself.
one last night, but I think I fell asleep before I even got
Yeah,
next or needed the idea of it. I'll do it. Excuse me. So there you
right. Nice one. All
go.
right. Well,
Okay.
listen.
See you
Good to
next
see you.
week.
Good to speak to you. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, share. If you've got comments or thoughts or words, you'd like to talk topics you'd like to see us cover, give us a shout. We're very happy to take that on board, and we'll speak to you next week. Thanks very much, everybody.
Bye bye.
Cheers.